Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 7 of Elfmas. Here we are, and it's just us elves. Danita's still a little under the weather, so hopefully she'll be feeling better soon. Um, I have, I guess we could let you know the secret. We're actually recording this the day before, because as this goes live, I will be playing the final hymn at church, and I cannot just say, sorry, no final hymn today. I have to go record on WikiTree. Um, the congregation would not be happy with that. The priest would not be happy. My choir would not be happy with that. So, anyway, so we're recording in advance. And so we are excited to go through another wish today. And this time it's a different type of wish. It comes from my fellow elf, Kathy, who's over there. The mirrors are going backwards here. So, yes. Kathy made a wish that she wanted to get into DNA painting. So Kathy, have you used the DNA painter before or the chromosome browsing at all? Or
I've kind of looked at the chromosome browser and like, okay, that looks cool. How can I do that in DNA Painter? And I go into DNA Painter, I look at it, read the instructions, and I don't know. Where's the video that shows me step by step on how to paint the chromosome?
well, the video will be right here. Excellent. So just stay tuned, okay? So for fulfilling this wish, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take you through how to use DNA Painter, show you step by step. And I don't know if you have an extra screen so you can sort of do it alongside, or you just want to watch, Kathy.
I'm just going to watch
Okay,
because then later I can go back and do it
for
side by
nice,
side.
for good.
Yes. Yes.
Okay then, super. So let me begin sharing my screen then, and I am sharing all of desktop number 2. Okay, so I hope all the windows I need are in the right places. And you should see a screen that says DNA Painter.
Yes.
And let me zoom in a bit. Um, I want to see. I want to see how that looks. Hmm.
Do you need a subscription for this site?
So that's an excellent question. So the answer is no, you don't need a subscription for this site, though I do have a subscription to the site because for it is such an amazing site and has such amazing tools. And Johnny Pearl is a genius. So and I do use the tool. I don't actually use all the features of all the tools yet because I haven't had enough time to delve into all of them. Um, but I intend to delve into all of them, and do use most of them, and it's just amazing. And I just want to support Johnny anyways, just because he's a great developer, independent. This is his life. This is how he survives by programming this, and so he deserves all the kudos for doing this. But the flip side, and this is what is so amazing about them, is that you can use all of these tools without a subscription, but there are some limitations. So the number of free chromosome maps that you can do is limited. The number of free Watto tools um, uh, where to use is limited. So with a subscription, you've got an unlimited number. You can use the next level tool sort of thing, but you can use all the tools for free. And the one that's on here, which is related to the chromosome maps, but is that I use almost daily is the shared centimorgan project. So whenever you have a match on DNA, and it says how many centimorgans, you type that number in there. So I typed in 284, for example, and then um, it breaks down the probability that your match is one of these types of relationships. Because of course, the thing with DNA is that except for parent-child relationships, almost every other combination, like raw number of centimorgans that you share with someone, could be interpreted by two or more different ways. So just knowing the number of centimorgans that you share with someone does not guarantee that you know what the relationship is.
Right.
So
Greg, can you scroll down a little more and show the fantastic like map that I call it a map, but I know it's
it
not
is
a
like a
map.
map. Yeah, yeah,
So for those of us that are visual, you
yeah,
can see which possible relationships are highlighted.
yeah. And
And I
so
like that.
because I put in 284 centimorgans, the ones that are the most likely, or even the only ones that are sort of possible. And all this data came from work that Blaine Bettinger did, actually, collecting samples and data from real live people who had DNA matches with people who they knew exactly how they were actually related to them. So it's not, so this is based on actual data. So it's pretty, I would say it's pretty accurate. And so it shows full relationships and also half relationships. Because, of course, especially when you're working with DNA, sometimes some of those creep in, and that can throw a whole another spanner in the mix, to use a phrase that Johnny would use across the pond.
And if you just have the percentage and not the number, you can click the little box below that to enter
Yeah,
the
like on
percentage.
23andMe, for example, right?
Yes.
Yes, if you a match on 23% says that you've got 0.5%, right? It does the combination. What I like is it also does the conversions, so you can sort of
Yes.
compare that to 37 centimorgans, which you see on almost every other matching site, right? And then you can go down and see which cousins could fit that. And the problem is when you get to that low, there's so many possibilities. It's hard to narrow down. But the good
So
thing is
when
you
we're
can,
looking at WikiTree profiles and somebody
yes,
has their DNA done, and then
yeah,
that little bar on the side that says that you share
hmm
3.12%,
yep.
1.56, 12.5, that's what you can use. That's the number that you can use in that box.
You could actually on WikiTree, those numbers are those numbers that they say on the side, that those are the theoretical percentages.
Yes.
So
Okay.
if you got
Yes.
exactly 50% from each parent, well, everyone gets 50% from each parent. But what you don't get exactly 25% from each grandparent because the amount that dad shares with you is around 50% of his dad and around 50% of his mother. But because of the randomness of DNA, it could be like 40% granddad and 60% grandma, sort of thing. And so, except for your parents, the percentages as you go back in time with your grandparents, great grandparents, and whatnot, it's close to those nice, beautiful fractions, but it's not exactly because of the randomness. But
But
that's
the
sort
good
of
thing,
the number. Those percentages are what you're sort of aiming for, and in general, it'll be around that. Yeah.
the other thing that's good about this visual
hmm
DNA painter is that you can discard a lot of these relationships because of the
Exactly.
age, if they are older than you or younger.
That's right. Because if it's especially if it's a full relationship, right? Like the half relationships can is more difficult to do that because sometimes half relationships are because of multiple marriages and there might be lots of different age difference in that. But if it's a solid relationship, if you're born around the same, in the same decade as your match, then it's more likely that you will be like a first cousin, second cousin, like a pure cousin without any removes. Removes mean that you're off a generation, right? So second cousin once removed means that one of you is a generation below, right? So one of you is in the other one's parents' generation, sort of thing. And two times removed means you're two generations apart. Okay. Um, so that's
But you also have to be careful with age.
yeah, you can't use it. It's not a solid rule. It's a nice general rule when you're first starting out if you want to try to eliminate, but you can't be sure that that's always the case because then we have, some surprises we find in family trees and men can be fathers much later than women can be mothers. So that varies things wildly as well. So, but anyways, the DNA, this shared Cinnamon project tool, this is absolutely free, and you don't need a subscription at all to use this. And I would say if you don't have this in your toolkit already, you're missing out. This is a cornerstone. And when you go into it, actually, when you first go into it, there's actually different versions of it that you can try out. And there's even a newer version. I usually click on version 4 because I like how it does the different visuals. But there's even a newer one where you can add a second amount of someone else who shares. And that can also zero in on possible relationship. It can rule out some of those that are on the outside, the periphery. So many cool things. So many cool things. But surprisingly, I digress. So let's get back to your wish, which was, how do I use DNA Painter to paint my chromosomes? And if you have not done this before, and you're watching, you're thinking, what is she talking about? Do I need to get some nail polish? No, we're not talking anything like that. So when you go to the dashboard, the DNA Painter, you click on, it's the chromosome maps that we're talking about, and we're going to create a new map. We're going to create a new map for, and who's this map for? This is for Elf Kathy. And your gender at birth was female.
Female.
So we're going to save, and we're going to start painting. So there we go. So now I've zoomed in a bit, so I can't see all, but there are 22 regular normal chromosomes that we all have. And then the 23rd chromosome is our sex chromosome. So in that case, it has you have an X chromosome, and you also have some mitochondrial DNA as well. That could be added as well. We're not going to worry about that at all. And we probably won't even deal with the X chromosome. So we're going to look at the first 22 chromosomes. So when we talk about DNA painting, basically what we're doing is, so this map here, this visual, can you see that there's light blue and light pink bars?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And every chromosome, so if I click on chromosome number 3 here, it'll zoom in and it'll show you a light blue bar and a light pink bar. And that represents your third chromosome. And chromosomes come in pairs. There's one part you get from your dad and one part you get from your mother. Okay? Hence they're labeled paternal and maternal, and the light blue and the light pink color scheme. So a very simple painting would be basically this chart. There's your chromosome painted, and all the ones that your dad gave you are in blue. All the ones your mom gave you are in pink. Case closed. We're done. However, that's not very helpful and it's not very useful, and it looks kind of boring. So what we are going to do is we're going to go into our DNA matches. And so you can't use Ancestry DNA for this because you need to go to a testing site that has a chromosome browser and allows you to export from that chromosome browser somehow, or at least gives you the raw data so you can copy and paste it. Okay, so today I'm going to demonstrate it using the MyHeritage website. Kathy has very kindly shared her DNA matches with me so that I can use that to look at the matches and do some initial painting. So we're not going to finish this off. And I don't know anyone who has actually done 100% painted all of their chromosomes, filled in all of the gaps with where the matches are. But we'll get a few percentages in the chart there. So if I go to Kathy's DNA results, there you see it. Now, one thing I should let you know is that I'm using a special tool. It's called the Genealogy Blurring Tool, which is actually a free plugin, a free extension you can add. And it's very helpful because it blurs out, it knows about certain websites like Ancestry and MyHeritage and blurs out the personal details for people and just leaves. So in this case, for the living people, it blurred out this detail here about when they were born and whatnot, and just uses their initials instead. So we are going to use, so that way I can use real data, but not give away too many names, hopefully. So the first match, I know I chose the filter for extended family. And the reason I did that, because if I chose the filter for close family, then the matches would be siblings and children. And both of those, you receive DNA, their DNAs matches your DNA on both your mother and your father's side. And that's not going to be very helpful for painting. What we need to do is we want to find out not only where, let's see, here we are, where on this chromosome you inherited from your father, but where you inherited from your grandfather or great grandfather, so we can actually be more specific about where each of these segments came from. Because some of these segments will have come from, you know, a few generations back, some from many generations back, and that'll be kind of cool to see. So we're going to start with your first match, which is HD, and over here. So what we do is we go to review this DNA match. Okay. KN is Kathy now, our Kathy there. HD is her relative, cousin of some sort. And they're suggesting here are the probabilities here. First cousin's daughter or second cousin's daughter. Now, I have figured out that, in fact, let's see if I can. Let's see. I want to go to.
Those are my Italians.
Yeah, we're working on your Italians side. If I've no, that's not the right. Wait a second. Am I spelling it wrong? No. I thought she's in here. Let's see. I think. Do you see? There's a DNA match there. Is that her sister? Her mother? That might be her. I think that might be her mother. Maybe it's not going to show me the other one. Okay, I think this person that I've got here is KD's or HD's mother. Am I correct on that?
I believe so, looking at that.
I think it's because I think it's because of the filter. I can't find I should have looked for it offline and then showed it, and I could have dragged that over him. But anyway, here's Kathy's. So yeah, where are we here? I've got to put these two side by side. So the match HD is actually this. She's down here, so that's her mother, grandmother, great grandfather, great grandmother, Grant Allen and Nellie Sagers. And if we look on Kathy's, this is Kathy here. That's her
biological father,
grandfather, and great grandfather. So you both have Grant Allen and Nellie Sagers as your great grandparents.
Yes.
So because they're their great grandparents, 2 G's in a row make her your second cousin. So we're going to take her and HD. I'm going to replace all. Okay. So now that we know that where she fits, and actually, I suppose if I look down here, I could have said the same sort of thing. There she is. And now she doesn't have it going as far back. She doesn't know. You know more about her tree than she does, which is kind of interesting. But anyways, there is the chromosome map. So this is where these are the places where Kathy and Heather's DNA overlap. So You share a part of the second chromosome, part on the fourth chromosome, and a bunch. And because you're second cousin, that's fairly close. So you would expect to cover a bunch of different chromosomes, some fairly significantly large, some a little bit smaller. So what we want to do is we want to copy this information digitally and then use it to paste into the DNA, the painter. And the best way to do that is to actually just to download the file. So it'll download the file and it saves it. And then I can open it up. Now I've opened it up and I've, let's see, I've anonymized it. So let me just paste that in here. So there we go. That's what it looks like. Catherine Nava and HD. Well, let's just say HD there. So I'm going to take that data and paste it into DNA Painter, and not this one.
Last one.
The last one, yeah. Actually, let me move this closer. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint a new match, and you just paste the segment in. So from your website, you find a match. You scroll to the bottom. When you look at the chromosome map, then in this case, we can actually download the file and then open up that file in a text editor and copy and paste it. Some places don't have a download option, but it'll give you the table and you can just copy and paste it directly.
Okay.
To another. So this one, it actually downloads the file for you. And I'm going to hit Save Match. Okay. There is 13 segments in there. Now, one thing it says is it excludes segments that are under 7 centimorgans. And that's because when you get that small, when there's less than 7 centimorgans, then the chance that you have a match just because the randomness matches up, like the chromosome is made up of like 4 different proteins, right? They're A, C, G, and T.
T.
Yes. And so when it reads it, like it's just a combination of those 4 letters, over and about, when it's small, like under 7 centimorgans, you can get a match that's just it's a random match, but it's not a real match from a relative. It's just the letters just happen to line up in those places at the right time. But when you have them lining up consistently for really large regions, then that stretches makes it much more probable that those are actually valid matches because they come from common relatives as opposed to just the randomness of the universe. So most often we exclude segments that are under 7 centimorgans. So we do know how this match is connected because we just figured it out, that they're a second cousin. So what I usually do is in the details about the match, I put down where I got the match from. So which testing company. And then if I know the relationship, I'll put that in there as well. Now you could put the relationship up here if you wanted. You could say HD second cousin. It's your own preference, what you prefer to do. This will show up on the chromosome maps later. So sometimes you might want that. So I'll leave that up to you to choose to do. And then if you know you are connected, you can label this segment with the name of the ancestor you got them from. So we do want to do that. And I'm going to suggest that we use the name of the couple, the common couple that we have. So in this case, it's going to be, now some people use the person, some people use the couple and some people use the person down below. So in this case, we're talking, where are we here? We're talking Grant Allen and Nellie Sagers, okay? So Grant and Nellie had a daughter, Rosemary, and Rosemary was the grandmother of HD. Grant and Nellie had a son named Howard, and he is your biological grandfather. But the ones you have in common are Grant and Nellie. So that's what I would put in. So I would put in here, I'll put Grant Allen and Nellie Sagers. And in fact, you know what I'm going to put in front? They're your great grandparents. So I'm okay. And this is on your paternal side. We don't,
Yes.
it was on your match's maternal side, but we don't care about her because we're painting your chromosome. So that's what
Okay.
we have to worry about. So it's on your paternal side. So we'll do that. And then we can assign a color. And usually for the first paternal one, I choose a nice blue.
Okay.
Um, and if there were more details about this, you could put it down, but we don't need to do that for now. So I'm going to hit save match. And there we go. There's our first match painted.
Oh,
Look at that. So there's chromosome 4. If you click on 4, it zooms in and you see it says there's 2 segments and they're both labeled as HD. Now, when you do it for real, for yourself, you'll probably put in the full name. I'm just using HD because that's
right. Right.
Okay. So let's go to the next person on the list. So let's go back up to the top, hit DNA matches, and we did HD. Now let's do CD and let's review. Now you'll notice for HD, it guessed that HD was your first cousin's daughter, but we figured out because we know the genealogy that it was actually your second cousin. But remember,
Right.
that was another option. So again, because of the range, it could be, a first cousin once removed, or it could be a second cousin. It's in that overlap area.
Right.
And
so
what kind of relatives do you suggest to use? Is it related to the centimorgan quantity or?
Well, you don't basically it depends on how far back you want to go. I would start with first cousins and out. It's not useful at all to do siblings or children because they match on both sides, and you want to at least you want to narrow it down. Especially if you're starting out, if you start with first cousins, then what you're going to end up doing is you're going to be able to zero in on you're going to be able to zero in on the 4 grandparents. And I'll show you what I mean by that.
You mean the most recent common ancestor?
Yeah. Right. So here's another one. This is CD, and if we look at hers tree, again, we see Grant Allen and Nellie Sagers. And if we look over here, of course, it's the same couple, so that's kind of neat. Now, what's interesting is that in this case, it's one more generation. So this is actually a second cousin once removed.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to do the same sort of thing. We're going to go down, scroll down to the bottom. There is the chromosome map. We're going to download that data, and then we're going to find it. Now we're going to find it over here, and let me let me just anonymize it for a second here. Just wanted to anonymize it, so that just says CD. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. So there's the data for CD.
Okay.
Okay, so I open up the file. Now I did a little step there to anonymize it. You don't have to worry about that. You'll just be able to open the file, copy it. I'm using a little text, but you use Notepad or any text editor will open it up. You don't need to go big guns and use Microsoft Word, though you can, of course, if you wanted to, but a slim little text editor is all you really need. Notepad.
Okay.
Just open it up, go over to the DNA Painter. We're going to paint a new match, paste it in, and we're going to save that match. And then again, we get the same thing. So it's already filled. It already fills in the name for you, and so that's kind of handy. Now, the other thing it does is it identified that there's some overlap with the match we already have there from this ancestor, and we do want to use that, so we can click on that to put it in the same bucket because again, it is the same ancestor. But the details we're going to put about this one is that this is again from MyHeritage. heritage. Caps off, please. And this is a second cousin once removed. And we've already linked it to this. So once you've gone through and you've linked it to different sets of ancestors, if they're ones you've already done, you don't have to retype them. You just have to pick them from
Okay.
the drop-down list. And so we're going to hit Save Match, and there we have it. So now you'll see we've expanded by clicking this button, we've expanded the 4th chromosome, and you can see there's a part there that you match with HD, and then there's a part you match with CD and HD, and there's a little part, and there's a part where they sort of overlap each other, which
Okay.
isn't surprising because both of them descended that part of the chromosome from Grant Allen and Nellie Sagers.
Okay.
But it's not all. And if we click on this in the legend, it will show just the parts just the chromosomes where you inherited part of them that you've painted already. And I like to hit show the match's name, so it shows that too. So you see there's some overlap there. Here is look at this, an exact segment that overlaps. And if you click on that, it'll pop up and it tells you, well, that's a 7 centimorgan segment. So again, 7 centimorgan is sort of on that border. Anything less than that is suspect. And you can have suspicious 7 and 8 centimorgan segments, but not as much. This probability goes a lot lower once you get up that high. But because you've got 2 right in a row and they both descend from the same pair, I would say that's pretty solid evidence that those are legit segments that you've inherited.
Okay.
And here again, there's a fair bit. There's 24. The first one is 24 centimorgans. The other one is 19 centimorgans. They don't one starts partway through and then the other one stops partway through, but there's a good chunk that's overlap. So it's these types of overlaps that you want if you need to prove or to confirm a DNA match using the DNA confirmation tool for triangulation.
Okay.
Right? It's that type of thing where 2 different people come from 2 different branches of the tree converge and share the same portion of a chromosome as you do, basically. Now, this relationship, second cousin and second cousin once removed, those are close enough that you don't need to worry about triangulation. But I just wanted to say that because this is the principle behind triangulation, is that you share a certain segment of the chromosome with one cousin and you share the same or a portion of the same segment with another one. The segment that you share is large enough that it's a valid, we can consider it a valid match that you actually both share, all 3 of you share together. And that's what validates triangulation. And so you can confirm a relationship that you've already proven genealogically. So there's that. Now, we could do this again for yet another match. And I think, let me, what do I want to show you now?
I have a question.
Sure.
What happens when you don't know what's your, if
What the
you're
relationship
a
is.
relative or not? Yeah, the relationship.
That is an excellent question. Let me see if I have an example of that. Let's see, what's the last? No, those are oh, Matsuno is the one I want. I've got an example here. I think that might help with that. Let's see if this one. Okay, so there was a match, and I'm not going to go find it on MyHeritage and then do the download and stuff because I've sort of pre-done this one. But I can tell you his name was Francesco. And now let's see, is he gonna match here? I'm not sure. I'm gonna save that. And we're not sure where he's from, so I'm gonna say I don't know how he's connected. But what I might guess is that with the last name Francesco, I might guess that he's on the paternal side, but I don't know for sure. So I'm going to color it green. And if I save that, oh, the name for the group.
And you can also say you're not sure for what I see.
I don't know.
Because you chose paternal, but you can also say, I'm not sure.
Right. Oh, where did that go?
Yeah.
Oh, enter name of the group.
Oh,
Okay, so I'll say not sure there. Okay. And if I save that match, then where does he show up? He shows up over here
mm.
and down there. Okay. Now who did he match with yesterday?
So they show it on both, not knowing which
That's
side.
right. Not knowing, he shows on both. Now, if that intersected with one of these other ones, then you would have a hint of where you'd find the connection.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me do there's CD. Okay. Now, where else do we want to go? Do you want me to paint a couple more while we're at it?
And if you can do one from the maternal, if you're able to do that,
One
that
from the
would
maternal side. Okay.
help.
That would help. Okay, so let me see. From your maternal side. Let's go back to DNA matches. I'd done RR.
I think, yeah. RR should be maternal.
Okay.
If it's who I think it is.
Okay. Okay, so we can go to RR, we can review her match, we can download the file, and that will take us to here. And when we paint the new match, here is RR. So let's see if I can. Yeah. So her connection, oh no, she's another second cousin once removed.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. Let's add her in anyways. We've already got her here. So we'll say.
Okay, that wasn't the RR I was thinking of then.
That wasn't the RR you were thinking of. Okay. Okay.
So it's paternal and not maternal?
This one is another paternal one. Yeah. And look at there. She matches there. She matches there as well. AD. Did we do it? We haven't done AD yet, have we? I think let's try AD. I may have, you know what? I may have only found when I was prepping this, I may have only found
May have only done the paternal
side. Yeah.
So I have to ask the dumb question.
No, it's not a dumb question.
I've been meaning to ask since the beginning.
Yeah.
The first question was, why would I want to do this? But now I understand.
This is what I'm trying to get to.
Not a dumb question. How does this help? This is very cool, but how would I bother?
How does it help? Okay.
Okay, because you don't always know where did you get that match from.
No, you don't.
With this tool, you can know if it's maternal or paternal. So that would mean that you would never overlap a segment of a paternal line with a maternal. Am I right?
And you're using the DNA from MyHeritage because it has the chromosomes, but then you're using the trees from Ancestry. So if you don't,
well, you could use the tree. We could use the trees from WikiTree. It's just that.
Okay, but if there's no tree,
or MyHeritage,
or MyHeritage, or whatever, because the trees, the trees are done independently of the DNA matches, right?
So if somebody has done DNA, then there's probably a tree. somewhere.
You would hope, but they don't always link them together, so it's not always easy to find. Now,
Okay.
Kathy has done a lot of research, and so she's filled out
Yes.
her trees pretty well. So here is another one. Here's Anthony, and there's his line, and there's no Grant Allen and Sager. So this is a different great grandparent couple. In fact,
Yes.
it's the other one, Nicola Di Bitetto and Amoruso, I believe. There's Di Bitetto and or is it one?
Francisco is a brother to
Oh, there we go. No,
uh
it's one step further back. It's a great great grandparent.
yeah.
Okay, so this is actually a third cousin. Anthony is. So he's actually a third cousin. I'll just march that one. And so that ancestor is what's the cup? Francesco di Bitetto and Carmina
De
di
Pino.
Pinto?
De Pinto.
Yeah. And that again is on your paternal side. And we're going to color that a nice, okay, we've already used green there. So let's color that brown. Okay, I'm going to save that match. So now, if we look at, say, chromosome number 10, on her paternal side, we've mapped a chunk of that chromosome. The part in brown here comes from where's Kathy's here? It comes from Kathy's, actually, it comes from specifically Kathy's grandmother's father's side. So it comes from her grandmother's side. The blue comes from the grandfather's side. So you know how you receive half from each of your parents? Well, the chromosome that your dad gave you, half of it came from his father. So that's all these blue bits. And if we map enough of the other half, there'll be brown bits, which will come from his mother's side. And so what we want to do eventually is if we map enough of these, then when we get to these unknown ones, you will see where they overlap. And if we only did first cousins, or if we only did first and second cousins, then we'd be able to narrow it down to at least which one of the grandparents we want to track. Because so instead of having to look through all of these trees, we would know that we'd only have to look through this 1/4 of it. The common ancestor would have to be in this branch, or if it was in this last case, if the overlap was here, it would be you'd only have to look in this branch. So the advantage is once you've mapped all your known matches, people who you know how they fit, and which grandparent, great grandparent, great 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 grandparent that you descend from in common, then when you have unknown matches and you don't know where to start, at least this will give you a sense of, which line to investigate.
Okay. Can you go back to my tree for just a second?
Yeah.
So if you look at Grant Allen's parents.
Yeah. Henry Allen and Carrie Walkwell.
They are half first cousins.
To each other.
Okay. Their mothers are half sisters. Because you'll see Thomas.
They're Hackett's, right?
The Hackett's.
Okay. So now at the level that we used, the common ancestor for for the cases that we use all came from Grant and Nellie.
Okay.
So some of the DNA that Grant passed on to Howard could have come from Anne Marie Hackett, and some of the stuff that or could have come from, and some of it could have come from Phoebe Hackett. But there's no way of knowing for sure at this point which parts, unless you had a match with someone who only descended from Phoebe, or someone who only descended from Anne Maria.
Okay, because they have the same father, but not the same mothers. So that would kind of be the way to
Yeah.
differentiate between.
Yeah. So you would need to have, yeah, you would need to go back and find a
Okay.
match who was related to one of them, but not the other, to just sort of distinguish which piece of the chromosome came from which specific one of those, if you wanted to get that detailed.
Okay. And I know that thanks to our wonderful Emma, who worked
Yeah.
with my DNA to figure out who Grant's parents were and how they were related.
Mm,
So,
neat.
okay. Yes. This is a great start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You really need to get through a bunch before it starts to fill up and looks better. Let's see if it's been so long since I've done it. I'm almost embarrassed to see where I am. What does this look like? Okay, so I painted 161. So this should, there you go. This is mine. This is what mine looks like right now. And so I was able to break it down by grandfather as far back because of a match that I had, 3 times great grandfather. And so you can sort of see how colorful it can get. And so if I have a new match and I plop them on here, chances are it's probably going to overlap at least one of these segments. And then that will give me, a very good clue of where to start looking if they don't have a tree, or if they don't have some information. At least it gives me a starting point. So this is a partially completed one. So
Do
I've
the
got
little hatch marks mean anything?
the little hatch marks. I believe those represent common pileup areas. There we go. So what that means is those are there. Everyone has some of these what are called common pileup areas, is matches that are parts of your chromosome that get passed along or just seem to be endemic for certain populations. And as you probably know, because I've said it so many times, my mother's side is French Canadian, pure French Canadian.
Okay, so all the hatch marks are French?
Probably all of those hatch marks are French, yes. And that's some of the DNA that, was in the St. Lawrence Valley, St. Lawrence River Valley, and got passed down from 1600s, just traded back and forth. And so you really can't, I mean, I shared that with my grandmother, Germaine, but there's thousands of Quebecers that would share the same, or people who with French Canadian background that would share the same segment, and we're not close cousins, even though it might be 22 centimorgans could be third or fourth cousin, but that if it's a common pileup area, then it's something you just sort of ignore. So if I overlap with someone in that, and that's the only place I overlap them, then unless they have a super good tree, then I just sort of give up and dismiss them, because they're probably distant cousins, but really distant, not something that I could prove in a genealogical time frame.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate this, because me trying to walk through the steps of reading it and trying to do it, I was just lost.
Well, Johnny he's done a number of blog posts and videos, and there's lots of webinars too. So
Okay.
I would point you in those directions too, because I mean, he's the king. He's invented this. He would explain this much clearer than I have done for you. So I would recommend that as well. And so anyone else who would like to check this out. So the website is dnapainter.com.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. That gets me started. I haven't been on the site in a long time, and like you say, I just use the portion of it for the centimorgans.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't done the painter for a while. Okay.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, breaks down things.
Yes.
So thank you very much. And happy 7th day of Elfmas. Stay tuned tomorrow for another. I think we might have an Irish elf joining us at that point.
Maybe. Hopefully.
We're hoping. With the luck of the Irish, you might see him. Oh, my hat's gotten askew somehow through this whole thing. Don't know how that happened. But anyways, have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you around. Bye.